After 5 years of marriage, today we'll share 3 things each to describe what the word marriage means to us.
So stay tuned.
Hi guys, welcome to the Twalkers. They say every marriage is different. And even though marriage is one of the oldest institutions, people still ask this question that what is a marriage? It's been 5 years since we are married. When we met for the first time in a restaurant for a lunch, we asked this question to each other. It's been 5 years now, so we thought it will be nice to explore this question once again through the Twalkers. So today we'll share 3 things each that describes what the word marriage mean to us. What's your first one?
Okay. So my first one is actually understanding and living the meaning of unconditional love. So I thought about it a lot, and even though our love for our parents is unconditional because they have raised us, somehow there is that subconscious feeling that we owe something to them, and we do. So that's why I think even though it is an unconditional love with our parents, it still has that subconscious conditioning behind. Whereas when you meet your partner, it is pretty much for the first time you're meeting someone, and then over time you just want to give to the person, towards the person. And obviously, so I would be first to admit that it wasn't always unconditional love. I think early days there are expectations and things that you would expect, and there would still probably be, but I think the feeling of doing something to make the other person happy without expecting anything back, or not even wanting anything back, just doing it for the sake of doing it and making another person happy is, I think it's just one thing I think that marriage teaches us. I've also heard, not through our own experience because we don't have kids yet, but that people do say that the parents' love for the child is always unconditional, which I'm sure would be true as well. But I think I felt that with you coming into my life as well.
Okay, so I'll tell you my first one, which is totally opposite to what you just said. In practical terms, marriage is an arrangement. At some point in ancient history, people invented this concept that two people marry each other, be with each other, and run the lives together, and they bring in new people in the world, and they, the human race can live in a peaceful environment.
So you mean to say that marriage is there to bring some stability into the chaotic world?
Yeah, some stability into the chaotic world. And I think the doubts around relationship and the ups and downs of relationships and everything can use up a lot of your time. So I think those ancient people just came up with this concept about marriage and having one person in your life that is done, set, and then you can deal with other things in life. So I think that's my first definition, which is marriage is an arrangement.
It's really funny that you mentioned the arrangement bit, because there is a ancient story which actually probably the earliest recorded history on marriage and its origin. So this story particularly talks about this rishi called Shweta-ketu. And what happens is one day he finds his mother in arms of another man who's not his dad. So he goes back and questions his father about why is my mother over there. Before that, there's no mention of how the marriages are or how marriages work. So this is talking about the times where the women weren't restricted to or the man weren't restricted to being with one partner and so on. This was essentially free world where the woman and I'm guessing as well as men can go to whoever they want as they please. And the child really was actually the child of the community. so everyone takes care of it because that's the child of the community. Anyways, without getting sidetracked, so he really asked this question to his father. He's saying that, are you really my father then? And all these paternal questions come to his mind in terms of, who am I, where do I belong, if there is an inheritance, who does it actually get it? And so he goes ahead and sets this concept of loyalty. So he sets this concept of loyalty or monogamy, where essentially, we be with this one partner forever. So essentially, a lot of this marriage concepts does come from, the personal sense of what am I, who am I, what do I own, where do I belong, all those things, what are my inheritance, all those things. So yeah, it's very funny that you mention it.
It's really interesting. What's your second one then?
So my second one is companionship and support. A lot of us do enjoy that companionship. So, cracking jokes or doing something together, traveling together, building up some dreams together, creating that your own world in some ways, I guess, is what marriage is all about, companionship. So I think rather than anything else, it's pretty much, having someone to share your joys and sorrows with. I think that's the biggest part. So support is the second part to it. So for example, in our parents' generation, kids are often considered as the support. I don't think that's so much the case in our generation. We pretty much do accept that, we're gonna be you and me who's going to be together. Kids would happen at some point when they're supposed to, and they'll go at some point as they're supposed to. But I think support for each other will be much more longer. So I think companionship and support. What's your second one?
Okay, so my second one is marriage is a commitment.
Mm-hmm.
So the base of it is love. Base of any relationship is love, but marriage kind of seals it and is a way to show that you are committed to each other. I'm not saying that love needs the seal of marriage, but it's a system that expresses the commitment towards the other person. Commit towards the other person. You commit to be with them in joys and sorrows. You two commit to be together and support each other and nurture each other. Once you're married, you don't think about the possibility of relationship and stuff. Well, some people do think about it, which is an exception, but otherwise usually...
What do you mean by that?
some people...
You mean like affairs?
People do have like affairs and stuff. So I'm not saying that if you're married that means, that's not going to happen, but in most cases, once you're married, you don't think about the relationship part of your life. And because that's settled, you are married to the person you feel happy with and you really love, and you are committed to them. And yeah, that's the second part of my definition.
So my third one is actually quite related to that one. And I think what my third one is bringing that center and stability into life, which is pretty much that. And what that means is, as a dancer, I've heard you say that, you have to find your center. I've heard that in like sports documentaries or where, the cricketer will find a crease where he thinks that's the point. From there, I take 2 steps ahead and take a shot, or 2 steps back and take a shot. But they find that place where which is their measurement or center. And same in tennis and few other sports. And I think in my life, I think it's you, where I think once like any young person, I think until you went in my life, there was no center. I would like hop around, my thoughts will be all over, whereas I think once I had you, I had my center. I was like, okay, now I'm okay and I'm happy in this place. Let me not keep thinking about girls and women and all those things, because that's kind of you. So that just makes life so much simpler.
Kind of me.
No, not kind of. No, that's bad. No, that's you essentially. That's just you. So yeah, it brought a lot of focus back into other things that I wanted to that I wanted to do in life. What's your final one?
Yeah, so I think so. My final one is basically your second one, which is marriage is a companionship. Um, it's a companionship forever, right? And you are each other's company for everything that you want to do, or I think more than you want to do, it's like you need to do. The moment you are married, there are just so many expectations from you, from the society, I think, to deal with so many things together. And I think that also brings us closer in some ways, isn't it? So you deal with finances, and you deal with
Relationships, friends.
yeah, like social relationships. I was like, what relationships? Yeah, so social relationships.
I don't think about that, you see.
And you deal with buying a car, finding a place to live, or what to eat for the dinner, and anything and everything. If you are each other's team, and if you are with each other, you can bring out the best out of life. It's you have to be a team, and you have to support each other and deal with things the best way, and fill in the gaps for each other. So I think that is my third point, that it's a companionship.
And I think just to add to your point as well is, when we say we need to be in each other's team, what we mean is, we need to work together on things, right? That doesn't mean that we need to agree on each other's point, right? That's a subtle difference. We always work together, but we might have different opinions towards it, and we discuss it, we work it out, and then we still work together towards that goal.
Yeah, we find a common goal, basically.
Yeah.
And if we have difference of opinion, that doesn't mean we just fall apart.
Correct.
We, discuss and create a common goal again.
Yeah.
Which is like a middle ground.
Yeah, and
for
results
both of
are
us.
Often better than what we would have started with.
Yeah, because we both of us could be on two extremes, and then we find a middle ground and we work towards it. But
and to give an example, you are the super creative one, I'm the super pragmatic one, and so we always have those clashes where I'm trying to be the ultimate pragmatist, doing the absolute basic that's needed, and you are like, I'm interested in how it looks, how it feels, how is the experience, and a lot more. So we do have those difference of opinions, but we both take time to understand each other's point of view, and that's what makes the result the best it could be.
You start thinking with the functionality, and I start thinking with the aesthetics.
Yeah.
And then eventually I understand that yes, this thing is aesthetically pleasing, but it might not serve the functionality.
Yeah.
So then you find something which is aesthetically pleasing and also serve the personality.
Yeah.
Functionality. So
it took us a while, right? I mean, that's also worth mentioning, which is it took us a while, right? I mean, we would have some of the most furious conversations and clashes on our point of view. But I think one thing which was good on both of us was, she would still at the end of the day tell me that you shouldn't stop being pragmatic, because I get your point, and some of the things I struggle with. And what I understood is, some of the things she said sounded like too ambitious for myself, or like too much effort for myself, but what I realized is actually she has put a lot of practical thought behind it as well. It's just I was very, and probably still am, I'm learning, impatient to like go through the journey that she has, whereas I try to find the simplest thing. So yeah, I think it takes time, but because we didn't give up despite of all the clashes, because we could have done that.
Even you push me, when I start giving up, because I don't want to do something at the end of a clash. So I start giving up, and you also encourage me to just stick to it, even if you don't agree with it. but you don't want me to give up. We have found a balance, and I hope we will keep finding a good balance. Do you remember when we asked each other the question for the first time? Do you remember what you said?
I do actually. So which is so two things I said was to keep making you smile, tick, and second was be understanding to each other, and I think both are pretty much there.
They still stand true.
Yeah. And do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I had a lot of idealistic thoughts about all this at that time, but what I said was just unconditionally, fiercely love the other person, and that person or the relationship becomes the most important in your life, and basically you are biased for each other.
Which I think still stands true.
Still stands true in the practical meaning of it, that you support each other and be each other's team.
Yeah.
So
not much changed, but I think it's just the way we approach it is obviously a bit mature.
Yeah, and also the way we understand it. At that time, all those things were, I think, just ideas.
Ideas, yeah. Now it's an experience.
And now we have experienced it, and we are glad that we still think those things are true.
Yeah.
But we know
more mature than we thought.
Yeah. But we know more practically about it now.
Yes.
Than we used to at that time.
So let's just summarize. So my three were unconditional love, companionship and support, and bringing that center and stability into my life. What were your three?
And my three were, so a marriage is an arrangement. The second one is a marriage is a commitment. And the third one was marriage is a companionship.
Hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yeah, please let us know in the comments what is your definition of marriage.
Please hit that thumbs up button and give us a like.
And we will come with another interesting conversation next week. So please subscribe and hit the notification button.
Until next time, thank you.